Hey poker people, this is Sky with SmartPokerStudy.com, and I'm here today with a hand history review video for a 10NL cash game that I played. It was a focus session where I was experimenting with opening more hands than normal and seeing how my opponents reacted to me as a more aggressive player. If you don't know what a focus session is, those are when you play 4 tables or less, talking through all of your decisions before you make them. They're usually geared around one poker concept or play that you're trying to implement in your game. I do these a couple times a week and always record them so I can review them later and see how well I'm thinking about the concepts and decisions before I actually make them. Actually, sometimes I start normal sessions with a couple focus heads-up sit-and-goes, or if I'm tired or not in the right mindset, I'll play a focus session and try to get in my 8-game mindset. Or if I remain tired, I'll just end my session and not play for the night, that kind of thing. I hate losing money to spew or to just making bad decisions because I'm not in the right mindset or I'm tired. If you haven't seen this particular focus session yet, click on the link that pops up here to view it before you continue watching this hand history review. As you can see on the screen right there, this is part 2B. 2A is the actual sweat session for the focus session that I played at 10NL. If you watch the focus session first, then this hand history review, you'll get more out of it. You'll be thinking about the plays before I make them or as I make them, and then you'll be able to see how I break down and analyze the plays afterwards. These are the 3 opening hands filters that I use. The first is RFI, which is raise first in. This basically shows all the hands that I chose to raise first in. The second one is opportunities to raise first in, but I didn't. And that could be for a variety of reasons, and we'll probably cover a lot of those in this video. The third is attempted to steal. So that's when you're in the cutoff, the big blind, the cutoff, the button, or the small blind, and you raised first in. The system just automatically, it doesn't matter if you have pocket aces and you raise on the button or open on the button, it looks at it as a steal just because of your position. It's the only way really to categorize that. And you can see right here for RFI, for example, I won't go through all of these, but the filter within PokerTracker 4 that you would use for raise first in is under hand details. You would select player as hero. Under actions and opportunities, go to the pre-flop actions and opportunities, choose the pre-flop raises, and then raise first in, turn that one on. I won't show you how to do all those here. I've gone through doing filters before on other videos. Or, if you want, put a comment below that you want to see how to do these different filters within PokerTracker 4, and I can always make that video for you. All right, so here is the my PokerTracker 4. This is the session, the 10NL session that I played. Over 30 minutes, ended up playing 50 hands. I won 22% of them, and I ended up winning almost half a buy-in, which is, pretty darn good. Pretty happy with that. You can see over here my VPIP and PFR are way, way high. I mean, in cash games, especially 6-max, I usually shoot for around 24, 25 VPIP and 18, 19, 20 on the PFR, somewhere around there. So this was a very active table for myself. Let's take a look at some of these filters. The first one we'll do is opening filter for raise first in. Now, these are all of the hands within those 50 that I raised first in, and you can see that was actually 10 of them. When I raised first in, I actually made $5.81 total, or 58 big blinds, at 10NL, of course. So once all the hands pop up down here, you just hit a little. Now, you could sort them by the amount won or by the position, whatever the case is. I'm just going to go in order. You can see these are just in time that they happen, so we can kind of get a little progression of the game as it went. So replay all hands in report. Scoot this over. Okay, all our HUD stats popped up. Now, I had just entered this table. It looks like 2 hands ago, but I have, maybe these were from a prior session, or I don't know how this happened, but I have 5 hands on these players. So these are all relatively unknown. Can't really look at their stats just yet. Can't get too much of an idea. Actually, out of 5, this guy's VPIP'd 3 of them and not raised at all. So he's probably a pretty passive player. Well, we'll see how that goes. But Shugaboo up here, we've got a good sample on him, 4K hands. And this will be a good time, actually, to talk about my HUD, just to give you a quick explanation. Notes starting up here. You see the hands abbreviated, so 4K, it's actually 3.7K. 4K is a good enough estimation. VPIP, PFR, fold to steal. RFI down here, fold to 3-bet and 4-bet. This is a good pre-flop combo to look at when you're thinking about, re-stealing from somebody or even three betting for value of aces or kings. If this number is really high, you might want to make it a smaller three bet just to get him to come along, you know. And then down here is the call a two bet. So this is somebody raises ahead of him and he chooses to call, and then he chooses to three bet right here. The name, of course, I always like the name because sometimes when your HUD pops up, this stat will be down here, this one will be here, this one will be here, and because it hasn't reset yet, and I don't like making decisions on stats right at the beginning that, you know, I'm misreading stats and I make a play that I think will work and I get boned by it. That's no fun. So the name's always there. And over here are my post-flop stats. So c-bet the flop, c-bet the turn, fold the flop, c-bet, fold the turn, c-bet, right there. So we might be utilizing various stats today, you know, as we're playing here. This was the focus session, I guess, informational thing that I had last, you know, when I played the session. This is what I was thinking about and focused on while I played. But let's just start reviewing these hands here. So first off, we have King 10. And of course, we're going to raise. It doesn't matter who, you know, on the button. It doesn't matter who's in these blinds. We're going to raise here with such a good hand. And we take it down. Piece of cake right there. You know, at this point, I was running a 38, or by the end of the session, I was running a 38, you know, whatever it was. We could take a look real quick. I just can't remember. Whoops. Let's clear the filters. Okay, 38-27 is what it was. So I am opening a ton of hands here. King 10 is right in the middle of my range. I'm probably opening all the way down to King Deuce suited, you know, right now, because I'm just kind of testing out opening ranges and doing the hand history review, learning about opening a bit more. So King 10, we took it down. Go to the next. Jack 8. Now this is definitely, when you're opening up your ranges, Jack 8 is something in a 6-max game that is worth opening under the gun. But then you got to be careful post. Jack 8 can hit flops really well, or it can cost you a lot of money when you hit a weak draw or a weak top pair, you know, on a Jack Deuce 4 flop, and someone has Ace Jack 9, Jack 10, Jack Queen Jack, whatever the case is, and you get boned there. Well, let's see what happens when I open. Now, this guy right now, so far, only 8 hands on him. He's, you know, quite a bit laggy so far. Too difficult to read, though, what his call means exactly. He could be calling with just about anything but premium, you know. Now, we flop the world. Jack 8 on a 3-8 deuce, flush draw plus top pair plus an overcard kicker. I mean, this is a great one. We've got to c-bet here for value. So let's hope I do. I do. Good. Make it a little over 2/3 pot. That might be much. That might be a little bit much trying to get value. Multi-way, when you make a bigger bet, they are going to read you for strength. I opened pre. They could read me as simply an overpair, you know, 9s, 10s, jacks, or, you know, anything up through aces. We got a caller. So what do I make of that call? Well, I'd have to say that with that call, he could have any kind of draw, a pair of 8s, a pair of 3s, possibly a deuce, maybe with like an ace or a king of hearts with a backdoor draw kind of a hand, because who knows, this guy's so aggressive right here. He could be calling with a lot of hands pre. We just don't know yet. But I know that he called that bigger 2/3 flop bet, so we've got to make another bet here. If he's on a heart draw himself, we do have 2 blockers if he does have a higher heart draw, so that's great. We can get a ton of value from this guy on this hand. So we make a 235 bet, a little over 2/3 again. That's great. And we get a fold. What a shame. He might have just had a weak 3. And it could have been, he could have had ace or a king of hearts with anything. Could have been ace 7 with a heart diamond, you know, whatever. But we took that one down. Jack and a 4, we choose to open, of course. And this rather passive guy, loose passive, decides to call. He only raises about half of the hands that he comes in with. So, you know, he's pretty loose passive. Now, this fold 100 is probably 1 out of 1. Let's hover over. Yeah, it's 1 out of 1 because we only have 13 hands on the guy. But it's definitely a good spot. Ace and a queen can be scary cards for a lot of players, especially these passive guys like this. So let's see if we c-bet, and if we do, let's see if we take it down. Piece of cake. Took it down. No worries there. Ace and a 9. Now, I'm not a big fan of opening ace 9. This would never be in my normal opening range. Although this guy is a bit loose and a passive guy. If I want to target him and I want to play a pot with him, this is definitely a good enough hand to open. Hopefully get some folds and play in position versus this fish, or this fish as well, you know. Now, I'm not saying they're fish, just looking at their stats right off the top. looking at my stats, I'm a fish as well, of course. But, I am playing a looser game right now. We've got a caller. Oh, we have a 3-bet. Now, so far, this guy is pretty active. He is C-bet honest, or versus C-bets honest on the flop. So we could give it a call here. But we have this guy left behind us to act, and I'm not a big fan of playing a multi-way pot with ace-9 versus a 3-bet, and this dude left to act behind us. I'm just not a big fan of that, so I hope I fold. And I do. And we get a call. Let's go ahead and run through this hand. Oh, wow, we would have flopped an awesome hand, and we won't see what he showed. That's okay. Queen and Jack, of course, we're opening here because our opening range has increased. Now, in the cutoff, a Queen Jack is definitely, Queen Jack suited would be great. Queen Jack off is definitely good enough to raise, especially seeing as how we've got a super passive guy here likely to fold. This guy, 50-29, yeah, pretty darn laggy. He could come in for a 3-bet, although he hasn't yet. He can come in with a lot of hands, so it's possible we could get a lot of action from this guy. And it's great that this guy called right here. Even though he has position on us, he's a very laggy player, so we could get a ton of value from a guy like this, especially if we hit a top pair and he hits a second pair with a draw. He can stay in for quite a few streets like that. Queen and Jack, we bet, and then we take it down. Wow, these C-bets are working at this table. And that's one of the great things to know. That's why I always, refer to fold to C-bet right here. Now, 67%. After this hand, he's probably going to be 75%. Yeah, 3 out of 4 on the next hand. This guy's already 3 out of 4, which is great. These are good ones to make sure you see flops with and to C-bet just about anything, at least until they start to fire back, Ace and a 7, so we lost a player at some point. We have a new fist fights in the big blind, and my jacking off suit. Hey, what a funny name. He took over there, and he's a very, a bit loose, but very passive dude. And this guy's still very laggy. I can expect some 3-bets, which, let's take a look here, 146 hands on him. He 3-bets out of the big blind 13% of the time. So let's see if that actually comes into play. And he just folded here. Well, let's see here. Let's say he did 3-bet in the big blind 13% of the time. Let's whip out Flopzilla. Let's take a look at ace-7 off. And it doesn't matter because we don't see a flop. Let's just take a look at 12.8. Let's make him a little bit tighter. Now, ace-7 off has 37% equity versus this hand, or versus this range right here. But yeah, so it's a good one. I think if he would 3-bet, we could fold. Without a doubt, we can fold. But if we think he's on a steal, what would he call a 4-bet with, or come over the top? So we've got 147 combos right now. $147. Let's put that in. 147 combos. Now, what is he going to continue with if we 3-bet? Of course, he's out of position. Or, I'm sorry, if we'd 4-bet in this case. He could 5-bet with these. He would call with these right here, and then probably call these ones. So now there's 42 combos. So 42 divided by 147. Give this the old clear. So he would actually only continue 29% of the time. So if we actually got a 3-bet out of him here, we could come over with a 4-bet for a decent size and simply take it away from him because he's folding 72% of the time when he makes a 3-bet with that range right there, because we just know that he's most likely not calling or not continuing with anything shy of these hands. So having such a high 3-bet percentage allows us to 4-bet, 4-bet bluff a guy like this. And 146 hands, who knows what he has on us? Most likely, he has this kind of laggy play, of course, right now from these 31 hands that actually hasn't been 31. He's probably only been at the hands for 10 at the table for 10 hands. But if you take into account my normal play, maybe I'm like a 22, 17, 18, or maybe like a 25, 20, somewhere around there. He sees me as if he's with these stats. Who knows if he is? If he has a HUD, he's looking at me as a rather tag player. So making a 4-bet here can definitely work and get some value out of the guy. Wait a second. Oh, there we go. Looked like I limped for a second. Opened with the queen deuce. So one of the things here I just noticed, this guy's got a full stack, and this guy's he starts at 40 BBs. When you're against these kinds of guys, 40 BB guys, they are often quite laggy. Their goal when they come in as a short stack is to just push their top pairs really hard, top pair plus really hard, to try to double up right off the bat, especially at these low stakes. You know, they like to do a lot of 3-bet bluffing, 4-betting, of course, and 5-betting for value, but 3-bet bluffing, it doesn't seem like they often do 4-bet bluffs unless the price is just right and they put you, like if you had a 3-bet stat, if I had a 3-bet stat like this, he could be 4-bet bluffing me, especially if my 3-bet was on the smaller side, you know. So let's see what happens here. Got a queen deuce, flopping 2 pair on him. 60 cent, you know, basically just a 2/3 pot bet. I often, when I play on merge on carbon like this, you can click half pot, 2/3, 3/4 bet. I often click 2/3 and then I move the bet up or down to the nearest, you know, hole. So like 2/3 here is 66. I moved it down to the nearest 10, just to try to get value because I flopped such a strong hand. Of course, there's a flush draw, but you know, I'm not going to be scared of the flush draw until I see some big action from these guys or the flush hits on the turn or river, of course. So we face a check raise all in. So there's no way at just 36 BBs that I'm folding this. I need 37% equity to win. So queen deuce on a queen deuce 5. Oh, clear. Queen deuce of hearts on a queen deuce, what was it, 5 of diamonds. Now this guy right here calling us pre, we can put him on a super wide. Let's not go that wide. Let's go right here, of course. He would have probably 3-bet, he would have 3-bet 10s because he's got such a high 3-bet percentage. I would say he would 3-bet. That seems pretty good. 10s and above, H-Jack and above, right there. Yeah, maybe he would just call with 10s. I mean, this guy did call. Slightly worried. Nah, I doubt it. Let's give him that. Take away that one, I guess I should say. So we have here with the top and bottom pair, we literally have 86.7% equity in this hand. There ain't no way we're folding. All we need is 37%. No matter what, I mean, if you would have raised $100, we have at least 50% equity always. I'm sorry, we need at least 50% equity, and we've got that in this hand. So this is a no-brainer call. We call, and then let's hope he doesn't flop over a flush. A Jack 5. Wow. So if we look at just Jack 5, right here was a straight. Oh, it's not letting me click to see the hands. Oh well. Just a straight bluff on this guy. Caught, you know, what could have been a lucky turn. Let's say I had deuce 5, flopping 2 pair. He could have caught that lucky turn. But whatever, that works for us. And then let's see right here. The guy chooses to buy back in probably for 40 BBs, and he you know, won a hand or so. Nines, of course, we're going to open. And then a 3-bet here. I would say that I think we got to run this. Because, well, I really think that this is a call, but I know that what I elected to do was to fold. So this guy is 3-betting. He just lost that big pot against us. I would say he's 3-betting probably 23% of the time. Now he was at 13 as a total. His 3-betting in the BB is still at 12%, but he just lost a big pot. He could easily be tilting. Now he could be doing something crazy, just, you know, bluffing like that to look tilty, or 3-betting like that to look tilty, and he's got a great hand. that could be the case, of course. But, I did elect to fold here, and the reason for that is because I just took his full stack. I could have taken another full 46 BBs here from him, possibly, but I didn't want to flip. Now, all I need, really, is 46% equity, and I have 60% against this range. But let's tighten him up a little bit. Let's put him on a more value-heavy range. Let's say he would have called with a lot of these hands that we're getting rid of. Let's put him on even 9s and 8s. He could be 3-betting even 7s right here. He's not 3-betting this. Let's put him on more of a value range. Let's keep the king-queen suited. Okay, now we only have 45% equity, and we needed 46. So I think it's a toss-up. It's kind of a marginal decision. And not really that important of a decision. If he had 3-bet more, like let's say, for a full stack, it's an easy fold right there. I'm not going to risk 100 BBs with pocket 9s, but only 46 BBs, that still seems like a lot to risk pre-flop with 9s. So I just elected to fold. I didn't see any really good reason to continue with this hand. And, you might say that's a mistake, and that's fine by me. Let me know in the comments below that it is. But the equity I cannot be giving up that much equity here. It's not like it's a clear 100% of the time decision where every poker player in the world would make this call. No, he could easily be doing it. Let's say he did it with just 13%. Let's just stick with a 13% range. 13, no, let's not go with the aces. 12%, and then let's add these. We have 53% equity with that 13% range. Let's take away that. Okay, let's do it. This is 12.8%. Yeah, so we have 51% equity, which is good enough, but it doesn't make it a clear call. If you just tossed in, or if you just took out of these kind of ugly hands, then our equity even drops even more. If you take out some of these, our equity drops big time. So I'd say this is a marginal decision. It's not worth too much time going over. And if I made a mistake, so be it. This is opening hands. When I get to 3-betting and defending against 3-bets, when I really study that, then I might, pay hands like this a lot more attention. But for now, nah. 86 going to open. We get a call on a jack to deuce, deuce, deuce. Now, this is a really hard flop for somebody to hit. And this guy is so active he comes in with a ton of crap hands. He folds so much post-flop. So let's hope he checks, and I c-bet. Oh, how come I didn't c-bet? Just worried about a trap? Oh, I just gave up this hand. What is going on? I don't know why I didn't. That was terrible. I should have simply made a 4 BB or even a 3 BB c-bet and made him fold, lay down his 9. He could have a 9-4 right now that he hit on the river, and that's the only reason he bet. What a shame. Now that was a clear mistake. No c-bet there when the guy folds 77% of the time, over 163 hands. Terrible. So that open took it. So that's the end of that RFI stat or filter. So let's go to RFI but didn't open. Now these are hands, of course, where I raised first in and decided not, or I had the opportunity to raise first in but didn't for whatever reason. Deuce 7 off, of course, 6-3 off, ace 9 off. Now I did raise an ace 9 off before. Oh, this is the hand. Oh, this is the one where I got 3-bet. Okay, so this particular filter shows when you raised but then folded as well. And I'm definitely down. We discussed that already. 5-6, just not good enough. 5-6 suited I would have. And at the time, I remember rewatching this video. I had just seen an important hand that I was kind of reviewing, and I didn't want to take the time to play this 5-6 while I was in the middle of thinking about another hand that just played. So if this would have been a good hand, like Jack 10 suited or something better, any kind of pocket pair, I would have played and would have put my like on the spot hand history review. I would have put that to the side. Ace deuce, just so ugly under the gun, no need to play. 3-7. Now I could have opened here just as a test to see what my opponents would do, but I didn't, and I'm good with that. I mean, just because I want to open a lot of hands doesn't mean I need to open every single suited hand. 6 deuce again, same reason. 9 deuce. Jack 7. Now that is a hand with only 4 players. I could have easily opened that, and I don't remember why I folded this. This should have been one. Yeah, this is one I should have opened, just to test the waters here. I mean, I got this guy super fish. If he calls, I can take it away on a lot of flops, hopefully. This is the kind of hand that can flop really strong, flop some great draws, of course. Gut shots, oftentimes, if 8-9 or 10-8 comes up, gut shots. But you got the flush draws, plus I've got some pretty weak players in the blinds here that if I open, I can take it away on a lot of flops. So, darn, should have played that one. Jack deuce off, forget it. King 5 off, forget it. Nines. Now this is that same hand. So this filter shows, once again, like I said, the hands that you open and then fold to 3 bets. So there's that. Jack 9 off. I could have opened this one. Without a doubt, it's doable. I might have been... Oh, I think this is the hand directly after the 9s. So in the video, I was talking about the 9s hand, just made that what I considered a pretty nitty fold right there. And then when this hand came up, the very next hand... I was just talking about the 9 still, so I didn't play it. Queen 4 suited. Oh, I could have played that one right there. Once again, got some weak players in the blinds that I could take it away from post. Although 50% now, 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 6. Okay, yeah. Well, I still could have, and I could have opened here. But, oh well. Jack 6 off, fold. And that's it for this filter. Close these. Now let's go to the last filter, which is steal attempts. Now, of course, this is when you decided to open, when I decided to open in those particular positions. And then now, one of the reasons to look at this is a lot of these hands are going to be in our other filter, actually in most of the other filter. But this is a way that you could just look at just the steal positions and to see how you played. And then this is really good, actually. This filter is really good for sit and goes and multi-table tournaments. That is where this filter is really going to pay off studying these hands. Now, we covered this King 10, of course, we raised and took it down. The Ace 7, this is the one when we could have 4-bet this guy if he had 3-bet us. We could have 4-bet shoved and taken it down. Yep, that was the one. And then the Queen Deuce, because it's in the cutoff, it's considered a steal. We got a call. So now, of course, I'm not stealing. Oh, I'm sorry. Of course, I was stealing with the Queen Deuce suited. I mean, you cannot consider that a value open without a doubt. But I've got a super, loose passive guy right here and a loose aggressive guy who folds 91% of the time. Goodness gracious, I've got to c-bet this flop 100% of the time. Let's say the flop came, I don't know, Jack 4-8. Let's not think about this guy. So a Jack 4-8 rainbow flop, which I have very little equity in. Clear, clear, clear. Queen, deuce of hearts, Jack 4-8, for example. Just a random, actually, forget it. Random flop. Oh, Jack 6. Let's put his calling range. He decided to call. He was getting great odds. He was getting great odds because this other guy, where'd it go? Because the other guy had called. He was getting super good odds. It was actually, let's take a look at it real quick. He needed 25% equity to call. And now 25% equity is just about, it's almost any 2 cards except for the bottom of the barrel, especially if you put me with my stats on such a wide range that I am. 22%. I mean, equity versus that. Oh, let's run that real quick. If I'm opening 22%, this is funny. Go from one thing to the next. And that's often what happens as I am, doing these 22% opens. That looks pretty good. Let's add deuces to it. Let's add this because I'm definitely opening those. No, let's just stick with 24.6%. Okay, so he needed... Where'd the hand go? He needed 25% is what he needed. Now let's just take a look. Let's just test some hands. 7-6 off, 35%, easy. 7 deuce, 28%. Holy cow. Deuce 4, not the 7, 29%. He actually had equity... Or I'm sorry, yeah, he had equity with any 2 cards. What am I doing? A pair. Deuce, let's see, what's a Jack Deuce? 30% equity, yeah. What is a Queen Deuce? 33% equity. Oh, still 30 or so. Queen Deuce suited is probably 34% equity. Okay, yeah, so he actually had, that's one of the things about being in the small blind versus a raise and a call. You have equity to call with any 2 cards. Now, here's the thing. You're up against me, which this guy doesn't know squat about me, but he sees these stats or something probably close to it, maybe a little lower right here. He sees these stats. He knows I am super aggressive. Is he good enough to take it away out of position versus me? a super aggressive guy so far, c-bet 100% of the time. My guess is all the stats that I have, my c-bet is probably near 80% on the lifetime 147 stats with this, 147 hands with this guy. So I'd have to say that making this call, even if you have equity, what are the chances? I mean, you just called I guess you could just call hoping to flop big and just ditch it on any flop, which is not a bad play. But as we know, he ended up calling with a Jack 5 off. No, we don't need to worry about that. Jack 5 at the time had 32% equity. He only needed 25, so it's not a bad call pre-flop. Although, if you look at the negative implied odds, I mean, he lost his full... Dagnabbit. He lost his full... I should move this up a little bit so I can grab it. He lost the full 36 BBs that he had behind because he played such a crappy hand and hit a mid-pair flop. And he just thought, which it's probably true. I could have folded a ton of hands. I would have folded a king 6 offsuit right here. I'm not calling with, a middle card and one over card to his shove. So he was just taking a chance that I was c-betting blindly. I didn't have a good hand. There's a lot of queens in my range, not a lot of deuces or 5s opening here. But yeah, he just got caught. He just got caught in a bad position, got caught bluffing. So let's see, any other hands in this filter? Oh, the 9s, of course, which we covered. And the 86, which was a mistake. So far, out of all these hands, I made a mistake right here on this flop. That is such a hard flop for this guy to hit. 8-6 suited. I mean, we don't have to worry about our hand, but look at his range of just BB calling and on a Jack, Deuce, Deuce rainbow. Jack, Deuce, Deuce. Clear our hand. That doesn't matter. We can look at it. Might as well. 86 of spades. But let's give him a calling range of... We know that this guy called a Jack 5 off. Forget it. Let's give him 50% calling range. That definitely doesn't include the Jack 5. But let's just give him this calling range. He could be calling a whole lot more, actually. Let's give him the 60 then. Closer to that Jack 5 off. So he only hits this flop 15% of the time, and the 15% of the time is top pair or better or an open-ended straight draw. We can consider pocket pair below top pair. He hits 20%. Ace high, it's not really a good hand, not good enough. Oh, for this passive guy, it might be good enough to continue. So let's say right here, 38% of the time he continues, which means he's folding 62% of the time. And we see here he's folding 77% of the time. So let's say we make it something like, what would I say? He's folding 62% of the time. Yeah, so let's say we simply make it a half pot bet. A half pot, where'd it go? There it is. A half pot bet only has to work literally 25% of the time. So 32, just to demonstrate the math, 32 divided by 65, 50% of the time is all it has to work right there. No, what the heck? No. 32 divided by 97. My bad. Yep, like I said, only has to work 33% of the time. Half pot bets, that's the way the math always works. You always take your bet, what you're risking, divided by the total pot. So the total pot would be 97 cents if I bet 32 cents right there. So my bet, a half pot bet, only needs to work 33% of the time. The dude's folding 68% of the time. It's a no-brainer, and I screwed up big time by checking behind there on such a flop. So, oh well, I botched that one. Well, that's cool. Get to end the video on a screw-up. I'm good with that. Well, that covered it for this session right here. I hope it gives you some incentive to play focus sessions and do focused hand history reviews on your own. Stay tuned for lots of future videos from me on this and many other topics. If you'd like to get PokerTracker 4 as a free 30-day trial, and I highly suggest you do, please visit the link in the show notes below or go directly to www.smartpokerstudy.com/pt-4 to be taken to the sign-up page. Now, this is my own special affiliate link. If you do sign up for PokerTracker through this link, I get a little kickback, so it's a way for you to support me, and it's a way for you to get a killer program to help your poker game explode. If you enjoyed this video and learned something from it, please like it below and subscribe to my channel. The more likes I get, the more videos I'll do on the same or related subject matter. If you'd like to visit my Poker Study strategy blog, you can go to www.smartpokerstudy.com. Check me out on Twitter as well. I am at smartpokerstudy. I really appreciate you spending some of your poker studying time with me today, and I hope this video helps you improve your game. Until next time, study smart, play hard, and make your next session the best one yet.